Hey everyone, I'm Ashley Little with Wholesaling Out of the Box, and today I'm joined by Luna Ankrum and Shawn Bowen, and we're discussing old school marketing. We've got a battle for the ages, or a battle of the ages, and it'll be debate style. So we've got a rough outline, and each participant is going to have about 2 minutes going back and forth to advocate for or against our two old school marketing techniques, bandit signs and direct mail. So let's get it started. Shawn, you have 1 minute to tell me about your marketing experience. And go.
I started with driving for dollars, and then I started doing mail, and then I started doing bandit signs. And from all of those, I had the best response rate off of mail. The end.
Wow, you're really trying to push this to get it out there.
I've got it. This is a debate thing. You guys are, it's new to me, so I'm figuring it out.
Okay. All right, Luna, you've got 1 minute to explain your marketing experience. And go.
Okay, well, a lot of my marketing experience up until like 2 months ago was mostly in theory. I mean, I had some applied in my own hobbies, but this has been my application of sorts. And then, of course, I've been doing other things. I'm a digital marketer. I do video marketing, social media marketing, anything that involves the digital space. That's kind of what I'm a part of, as well as paid advertisements that exist online as well. That's my experience with it.
Okay. You guys can use your whole time. Like, more to convince people that you're right.
Challenge, though.
It's going to be a challenge, though, when we get to some of the next stuff, because I'll even be on the timer for explaining. So I have 2 minutes to explain what are bandit signs. So bandit signs are those ugly yellow signs that you see strewn all over by like Walmarts and 7-Elevens and on the little median in between streets. And they're called bandit signs because they are illegal, but people do it anyway. And it seems to have worked for people. So good for them. But bandit signs, there are specific rules you have to follow, and they typically look like Shawn's got all of his that say Shawn buys houses, and there was a whole thing about we buy houses versus insert name here buys houses, which makes it seem a little bit more personal. I know some people that use their daughters' names to make it seem like more approachable, and then they're brightly colored so that they attract some kind of attention. Sometimes they're smaller stickers, something on lampposts, something to like get someone's attention as they're driving by to think, oh, maybe I want to do this. Like they're going to buy the house in any condition, might as well. And so, yeah, I mean, they're everywhere. Like you guys will see them. Sometimes they'll have websites on them, but most of the time it's just phone numbers. So I didn't even use all my time. This is hard, but you guys are going to do some defensive moments now. So I think you'll use all of your time for these. All right. So first thing is Shawn, as our resident old school expert.
Resident old guy. I like it. Go ahead.
/ spring chicken. Why did bandit signs work in the past, and what were they trying to accomplish? And go.
So bandit signs back in the day were good because there wasn't that much online presence. There wasn't the ability to, it was just a phone number, right? So nowadays the marketing is completely different. But their goal was a big, broad net. So you'll get some sellers, you'll get a lot of wholesalers calling it, you'll get some buyers. But the goal with it was strictly to find sellers. So it did a few different things. It really brought in a lot of buyers, but then you had to weed through that. And then, of course, you would get some of the sellers, but then a good amount of retail. So going back to the number part of it was just like its main goal was to get sellers, but it drew in a lot of other people, right? So it was really good, and it did its job. The problem was it was very time consuming, right? So we'd go out and spend 3 to 4 hours at a time dropping probably 100 signs. And then we had to track where those signs were in case we got in trouble for, put them in public right of ways and not supposed to have them there. So their job was to strictly pull in a large amount of three different types of people: buyers, sellers, and wholesalers. Strictly, the game was to buy the house. We want sellers. And the sign said, Shawn buys houses, any condition, because it stated, like, we want to buy these houses. And it was Shawn, so it was very personal. That was our goal. And instead of the we buy ugly houses or we buy homes for cash, is like, yo, I saw that, but I wanted my name to be on it so that people will be like, oh, that's Shawn. And it kind of bit me in the butt a few times. People be like, hey, where's Shawn? I'm going to kill him. Put a sign in my yard.
There were Christmas lights in the yard.
Right. Yeah. So that was their job. That was their goal.
All right. Not bad. I will say this though, that by, listing off the cons and why it didn't work, you like did Luna's job for her. Yeah. So maybe don't do that again for the next one.
All right.
All right. So Luna, your rebuttal is cons to bandit signs. Why it didn't work then, or it doesn't work now or anymore. You've got 2 minutes.
Well, I think Shawn said it really well. And when he was describing the value of your time and kind of the best use of your time, I mean, he's always talking about time value money. And that is part of it, is just knowing how long it takes to do these things versus, oh, you can publish something, say, to like a social media page, for example, and it can have a very wide range, like a wide net reach, but it's a push of a button versus, setting up the signs, possibly getting in trouble for having them places they shouldn't be, having individuals get mad if it's on their property. That sort of thing is really kind of, there's a lot of cons on that part of it, as well as just, you can be more specific in one of those very broad posts and still have a broad net cast with it versus a bandit sign where it has to be very eye-catching. So you can't really put a lot on there. You can just kind of put the number and the little, the catchphrase essentially. And it's not too much information. Sure, it's enough to get those leads, but if you can be more specific when you're pushing something like that out, you can save yourself the time of sorting through the retail and maybe the buyers list that come in from that, but that wasn't what you were looking for, those sorts of things. So instead of having all of that extra tasks being added to it, it kind of helps really just make things more specific, and it helps save that time, which helps save money and all of that sort of connection. So
nice. Okay. Shawn, your next topic is to talk about the pros and of bandit signs and why it still works. Give Luna a rebuttal, and I'll give you a hint on where to start, and it is about dollar signs. So if I could get the timer to stay up. So let me get the timer up and then you can get started.
Ooh, so I get extra time. So the way I look at it is
this is cheating. Okay.
All right. So the way I look at it is the reason they still work is because maybe you're not catching that older person, right? Maybe you're not catching the clientele that's in a certain age bracket that's maybe not on the phones. Maybe they're not on the computers, right? And it's like the old school style that's like, hey, I recognize those. I've seen them for years. They didn't fit me at the time, and now they do, right? So it resonates with that clientele. I think it's a really good idea to keep those going, but from a time value of money standpoint, it's like nowadays I'd rather pay somebody to do that because they work. You could get leads from it, right? We've got guys that have gone and done stuff like this, from almost like a bandit sign to a sticker on a window type thing that says all the same identical things. But yeah, I think it still works because you're going to catch the clientele with the age group, right? So they're driving around on a Sunday and they're cruising around and they see the sign, or maybe you drop the sign in front of somebody's yard and it's the nosy neighbor. That's the older person, right? Older guy just chilling on his porch, smoking his cigar. He sees you drop a sign and he's like, hey, I know that guy. I know that lady that left there. I could sell you that house. She'll sell you that house. I know her. I'll give you her number. So yeah, I think it's that mentality that I keep in mind, is that it still catches the older crowd. That's where I feel as though it works. But again, they're very time consuming, and it's not real. I guess money, it does come to money, because it's almost like $3 to $4 a sign, right? Versus like, I guess you can get it done cheaper from your side, right? And it's almost like pennies versus the time to go do it and pay for the sign. It's just way, way cheaper.
Nice. You had like a minute or like a second left.
Just 1 second.
All right. So, Luna, this is going to be the final discussion on bandit signs. And what are some other or newer alternatives that you would recommend to people where they would accomplish the same goal that bandit signs used to accomplish? And go.
So one of the big ones, because of course I am a social media advocate, because I'm one of the, I guess, what is it, Gen Z? I don't know. So one of those sorts.
Just baby.
What?
You're a baby.
I know. So like a child. But with the social media like side of things, and of course I always advocate for that because I mean, realistically, one, yeah, it does save you that time. And two, if you tap into the right niche and the right platform, you have this very good, very defined audience that you know has certain interests and you know you can get them. And it may not include that older like audience or the more niched audience that maybe doesn't use social media or doesn't really get involved with all of the technology side of things. But there are even ways to reach them that are cheaper than doing the bandit signs that aren't necessarily super time consuming either. I mean, one of the ones I can think of off the top of my head is there are like areas around locally. I mean, churches do this, some cafes do this, but they'll have these boards that you can put flyers and things on for local events. I mean, I know libraries do it for sure. And a lot of local businesses will promote on these as well. And it could lower the cost by doing something essentially akin to like a flyer or a information strip that could go on that board. And one, that would be cheaper than a sign because it's just copying paper. And then two, it still gives you the option to be more specific because it's a smaller thing, but someone has to come up to it to look at it. You could have something attention grabbing, but it still has more room for information.
Nice. And with a few seconds to spare. Okay. So that is all on our discussion for bandit signs. And now we're going to move into direct mail. So I've got 2 minutes to tell you guys about direct mail, which I think is good since I'm the one that does the direct mail for our company. So direct mail is exactly what it sounds like. It's mail that people are getting directly, oddly enough. Some people use postcards for that. We, in particular, use letters with an envelope and a peel and stick stamp. It looks a little bit more like less businessy than some of the printed stamps and some of the things that you get from other businesses. And so it encourages people to actually open up the envelope and then they're invested. They're like, okay, I'm going to take the time to read this. Whereas with postcard, you kind of glance at it and you can toss it out. But direct mail marketing is important if you're trying to target very specific houses or people. Bandit signs, you're just kind of trying to get anything in that you can. It's a wide net. You're casting that's what I was looking for. You're casting a wide net with bandit signs. With direct mail, I mean, there are some people that do send letters to entire neighborhoods, but most of the time for us, at least, our direct mail is more targeted. We're looking at people that are on code enforcement lists, are delinquent on their taxes. Someone might have died and the house is going through probate. Someone's getting evicted, things like that, where it's a more targeted and more specific to someone that might have a reason for selling, as opposed to the bandit signs, which is just like, anyone and their mother is going to see it and be like, oh, I want to call and see what kind of offer they would give me. You know, everything has a price and maybe they'll give me my price. So that is direct mail. And let me see who's up first. Shawn, it is your turn to tell us, why did direct mail work and what was direct mail trying to accomplish? And I feel like I didn't think ahead this time and kind of gave you a lot of the answers, but yeah. We'll see how it goes. Maybe you can come up with something unique.
Well, I think I noticed mail working because I didn't have the time to call, right? And again, it's a call to action on the mail piece. So the one thing I realized was everybody was preaching postcards, right? Because it's cheaper. You can do it like 3-4 cents a postcard versus 16 to 20 cents a letter, right? And then at the time, we were having to like print these things, stuff them, send them. Like, it was a lot of work. So the postcard didn't get a lot of attention. Immediately realizing that, I was like, I'm just going to put this letter out and see what happens. And that thing went gangbuster. It was awesome. Like the response rate, like you said, the commitment to it is crazy, because you can easily read this postcard and like flip it back and forth and like read what is exactly on the same thing on the letter, but you're just not as invested. And then realizing that, like, we just stuck with the letters. But it also was a inbound call to a warm or hostile lead, put it that way. Either somebody's happy to try to talk to you about selling their home, or you get the irate seller that's like, how'd you get my information? Or you get the really pissed off people that will take the time to write something on it, put a stamp on it, and send it back to you. Like, man, you had a lot of time on your hands. So yeah, I think mail marketing has always been a niche for us because of what it does, right? It does get a response, and it does, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but nonetheless, it does get us a response. And it's probably our best source of marketing for now, for what we will, I think we're getting into talking about it, but like mail marketing works. That is a real thing. And people, if you're not doing it, you need to get back to it, because it does get you results for sure.
All right, nice. And Luna, so what are some cons to mail marketing, and why do you think it doesn't work as well anymore? Or not necessarily anymore, but why do you think it doesn't work as well to some of the newer methods of marketing? Go.
Well, honestly, with this one, I do kind of agree that it's a good form of marketing, especially because it makes such a very personal connection the way that it's being done. And yeah, I agree that the postcards are too, with a postcard, it's just too corporate. Like, you just see that and your immediate thought is, oh, it's spam, and you throw it out. Like, you don't think about it. But if you have to open an envelope, that's so different. You have such a different type of interaction with it that it's like, comparatively, I would say it's like having a good homepage on a website. Like, if someone like goes into your homepage, and I think it's something that everyone talks about in digital marketing as its bounce rate. So if someone stays within your website going through the different pages for a while, the longer their session, the more likely it is they're going to convert. And I think that's exactly what the idea is behind the envelopes is, well, they're invested at that point, so it's more likely that you'll at least get some kind of response from them. But as for any kind of like improvement, honestly, I don't know, other than maybe adding some sort of, like, I know the mail itself is the call to action, but maybe adding some sort of ease of access digital thing to it to make it like they read through it and they want to take like immediate action. Well, maybe there's a QR code they can scan. Maybe there's, something that's super fast. Because I know a lot of people nowadays don't, like, I know personally, I know some people that don't answer their phone. So that's like a big problem I've seen, is that unless someone texts them, they're not going to talk to that person. And so I think making the outbound call for them would be an extra step as well. So just kind of trying to see ways to merge the two worlds to kind of make these things more effective. But overall, no, I don't think there's a lot of like heavy cons to it.
Okay. Twist. Luna is taking a pro position. Shawn, I don't know if you mean to be. But Shawn, now it is your turn. So can you tell us why you think this still works in such a digital electronic age, especially with things like email and email marketing? Go. You're muted.
Oh.
I'll let you start your time over.
Oh, nice. I think this works because there's still that personal touch in mail, right? And it goes back to kind of bounce off of Luna when she talked about corporate feel, right? So like an email is not as personal, right? You can go to a spam, it can go to your regular, like whatever. But when you get a letter to your house, that's, again, a very personal thing, right? So I think that that's why it still works. And because we're all so attached in the digital world, it's like you kind of get lost in that world, right? Certain things are so easy, but when you get something as personal as a letter that's written to you, right? And it's addressed to you, and it's talking to you, and a call of action to you. I think that's really personal, and that's what makes it still work. And I think it's interesting to hear that even in this digital world we're in, People are reverting back to it. I'm actually bringing up the idea of going back to the penny saver to go back and do an ad in it, because I think it would cause traction. I think it would get attention because it goes to the clientele like of our avatar, right? We're always looking for the avatar or the seller. Like, what kind of sellers are we looking for? And I think that's what it gets to. I think it deals with those kind of people. And I want to try to market more to the older crowd, because that's the people that have the homes. So I think that's why this works. I think letters are very personal. I think that's why it's still effective and almost kind of making a comeback. Marketing's not dead in the mail marketing world. It's coming back. It's the new cool.
Okay. New cool, old school?
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah. Maybe an episode title. We'll see.
New school, old school.
No, new old school, new cool.
Oh, old school, new cool. Okay. Yeah, I like that too.
Okay. So this is going to be our final comment about mail marketing. So Luna, what are some other or newer alternatives to mail marketing where you can accomplish the same goal, that personalized sort of outreach?
So I do recognize that the mail works really well with the like older, I guess, target market in that way. Especially like what Shawn said with the avatar of the seller, that mirrors a marketing technique about having a consumer profile, having a specific, like you develop out a person that you would directly be marketing to with your niche, with your demographics, everything. And similarly, like that works for that side of things. And if you're trying to bring in, like, say, maybe you're not targeting like Shawn is, maybe you're targeting a different subsection, like one of the subsections that uses, for example, Instagram, then it would be, I think it would be good to do like the direct messaging on Instagram. I've seen brands do this with good success in terms of getting a response, and not only getting a response, but getting a conversion as well. And more than just like a bot that pushes out those messages, but like having some sort of customizable message to be able to send that really just speaks to that person's situation. Now, the other problem with that though is finding that person's, user profiles and all that. And that's a whole different thing, but kind of just that sort of connection can be achieved in the messaging side of things. And I think kind of in email, but there is some bit of that genuineness lost when you go into the email format. So that's kind of my closing thoughts on all that.
Okay. Awesome job for both of you guys. Thank you so much for being on. That's time on our debate. And like I said, thank you, Shawn and Luna, for participating. For those of you listening, let us know who you think won. Was it Shawn Bowen with his passionate defense of old school marketing technique? Was it Luna Ankrum with her zealous promotion of new school tactics? Or was it me, Ashley Little, for being the best debate moderator / virtual bouncer in the REI School of Hard Knocks? Vote on our Facebook page and Instagram page. Vote on our Facebook and Instagram pages, and be sure to check out our website, www.wholesalingoutofthebox.com, for tons of great resources, and listen to our past podcast episodes for fun times and invaluable information. Thanks again, everyone, and we will see you back here next week for our episode on new school marketing. Talk to you guys later.